I mean, but there's certain things. For example, like audio jack. When it was there, now it's almost non-existent for the longest time. It was an industry standard. You can
You
do.
you still use it
I
on
still
your
use
jack.
it. I still use it. Right. But that's what I'm
So I
saying. For
don't
the
even
longest time.
expect your next phone to not have audio jack. I think you will just buy an old phone just for the sake of
Honestly,
audio
I
jack.
I would love to have it. I would love to have just because it's convenient. Like your battery, your Bluetooth battery can die out anytime. This thing does not require any of that.
Yeah, but
Like
if you are
I can
talking
pull it.
about
Listen to me.
battery, because that
I
was my
can.
initial issue
Okay.
too.
Okay. Yeah. Let's go.
Okay.
Go for it.
Nowadays, most of the wireless earbuds, especially the one that comes by Samsung,
Mm-hmm.
has 11-hour battery. Like
Correct.
with one, sorry, with one charge, you have
Mm-hmm.
22 hours battery. But with when you take out and use them, each
Mm-hmm.
time you can use 11 hours. That's I'm
Right.
talking about Galaxy Buds Plus, not the new one that came out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what's the problem?
That is an advantage, 100%. But here's my thing with it. So I'm someone who always carry a spare headphone, right? Because I you can lose stuff. In my case, I'm very forgetful like that. I tend to lose stuff, right? So if I've lost my Bluetooth headphone, or for one reason or the other, there's a malfunction in it, now I have nothing,
Buy two
right?
Bluetooth headphones. Don't you have two this wired phones?
See, this thing I can keep in my bag for 5 years. I'll take it out. It would start working within next second.
Yeah, but in 5 years there will be nothing supporting
I'm
this thing.
giving
What's the
you an
point?
example. I'm giving an example. And right now, like as a semi-broke person, it's much cheaper to buy these ones than to buy expensive ones, which would last you for 11 hours. The ones that I got for like $50 last for like 3 hours, and then it starts dying on me.
Yeah, yeah, that's a fair point. But like saying,
Affordability is another thing.
yeah, but saying that these are better than Bluetooth
No, no,
headphones,
I've
like,
never claimed they're better. I'm just saying they're more convenient for me. Completely personal.
yeah, but
Yeah.
like in the future, you don't expect to keep it for 5 years.
Oh
That's what I'm
God,
trying
no,
to
no,
say.
no, no. I don't think I in about a year and a half from now these would be any useful in any new devices that are coming out. Oh, no,
Exactly.
I'm practical about that. I'm delusional in my own way, but I know that this thing has no future anymore.
Yeah.
And I've accepted that. I made my peace. Like I was the one who whined the most when Apple took out their audio jack, but I've made my peace with it over the years. Still not over it, but getting there. Hello and welcome back to NGT, guys. We hope you guys are doing great. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, do check out our previous episodes where we talk about some of the latest tech trends and gadgets that came out this year. So for this week, before we get into any other topics, let's just talk about Facebook because, as usual, they're in news again. Last week, they decided to pull all the services and to take away all the news from people in Australia. And this week, they're
And
back.
posting outside Australia to
Of
Australian
course,
news.
right.
Yeah.
So what changed? What did you guys do that made them change their mind so quickly? Like I was
So there
expecting this to last
was.
for at least 6 months, but this was it was
Oh, I was
anyway.
hoping not, because when you have multiple countries you have lived. So, for example, you have lived in
So
Malaysia
by
also,
multiple
and
country, you mean you follow news of multiple countries,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Okay. Yes.
So, yeah, multiple sources and all that. So, some from Middle East, some from Malaysia, and all that.
Hmm.
So, all of that suddenly disappearing is a big thing for me.
Hmm. So just a bit of overview or backstory for those of you who are not following this is that Australia is proposing a new law, which is going to make Facebook and Google pay to the content creators. And Facebook decided to pull out all their new services as a protest to this ongoing law. However, a couple of days ago, they decided to bring all their services back on a condition that Australia do few amendments to the law that the bill that they were proposing, which by the way, as of Thursday, has become a law now.
Yeah,
Right. So
it
let's
has.
briefly go over what are those amendments. What's happening?
So, firstly, I would say, like, while Facebook took that approach,
Hmm.
Google went on the other side of it and made deals
Right.
with the news publishers for their news
Hmm.
showcase.
Hmm.
Most of these publishers will be featured. Not only national publishers, but also international publishers will be featured on Google News platform.
Hmm.
which is an app which can be found on iOS or Android. The
Right.
amendments made in this law were first. The first amendment was that now the tech companies will be given 2 months to make deals with the publishers they want to make deal with. The
Hmm.
second amendment is that there will be no third party involved in terms of like which news source will be allocated to these platforms or not. So it
What do
won't
you
be
mean?
arbitrary.
Okay. So
Okay.
basically, if Facebook and a local news publisher want to get in a deal, no third party would get involved.
No, and not only that, the tech companies won't be forced to go into a deal
Hmm.
with the companies they do not want to and
So they
make.
basically pick whoever is agreeing to their terms and conditions better and just go make a deal with them.
Yeah.
Nice. So
So
even though
technically,
Australia
yeah,
passed a bill, but it's a small victory for Facebook
yeah, that's
and
what I'm
Google in
saying.
that regard.
When you act like a spoiled child, it works.
It's, I mean, I'm just surprised at the rate at which they came back because I actually thought it would last longer, but no, it was like
Oh
not even a
no, tech
week.
companies are very well known to backstep very quickly. For
Like, yeah, they
example,
did a whole 180.
even yeah, so even when Google said that they will remove the search, the next day they said that okay, now we are making deals. So they backtrack a lot. So it's very common. I'm not surprised by it. I mean, I was expecting it to last 4 days, to be honest.
Hmm.
It wouldn't have last longer. It's just a small few with these kind of things. It just works out in the end. It's
Interesting.
because of all the relations and stuff. So
Hmm.
you wouldn't expect definitely not 6 months,
Okay.
but yeah, not more than a week.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
It just turned out a bit differently. Yeah.
yeah. Facebook itself is working on different things. This is one part of it. Okay.
Hmm.
The other thing that is the smart glasses, right?
Yes, it seems like everybody's working on that nowadays.
It's quite fun to be honest. Well, Google Glasses came out ages ago.
Hmm.
Okay. And it was not successful only because the way it was marketed.
Hmm.
Okay. First of all, it was marketed as a finished product while it was a
Hmm.
prototype product. Okay.
Hmm.
And it was marketed at a price which was a premium price. So there were a lot of things that were missing, like who will wear it in a social environment,
Hmm.
and the product itself was not complete. The developers knew, but there was a problem in terms of marketing and how it was marketed. Considering all these glasses are coming, first of all, the issue comes to the facial recognition.
Yes, yes, which is one that Facebook is juggling with right now, whether or not to include it in
Yeah,
their
so that
upcoming
is
glass.
quite interesting because
Hmm.
Facebook has a lot of users since 2008 who have uploaded their pictures, and they use deepface technology, and this kind of technology Facebook has exclusively kept it to themselves instead of giving it to any other third party.
Hmm.
So probably they will use this in this facial recognition, but again it comes back to the whole privacy matter.
Hmm.
Do people really want it to be recognized right on the go? I mean, like on the street,
Exactly.
how many people want it? Like as soon as you see them, you can see the
It's
whole
a huge
bloody
invasion of
profile.
privacy.
Yeah.
It's a huge invasion of privacy. Exactly.
So what do you think? Will it go through with it? What legal challenges it might face, and your
I
general
mean,
view on it?
first, before we get to that, I honestly, if they do decide to include, and by that I mean by they I mean Facebook, if they do decide to include it in their glasses, I just want to see how they market that, because they have been getting a lot of heat, as we have talked in a bunch of different episodes, ever since 2018. It was there before that too, but ever since then they've been getting a lot of heat in terms of not taking privacy seriously. So
Mm-hmm.
this is just another step to that. So if they do come out this year, I want to see how they market that. But yeah, other than that, to be honest, I personally don't think it would be part of the first iteration or like the first gen that would come out. Maybe
I
in
think the
future
first
iterations it
gen
would.
is coming in late 2021.
Correct. Yes,
Yeah.
that's why. because it's so close to everything that has happened with Facebook in the past, and they have a lot of stuff going on right now in terms of lawsuits with privacy and everything. So I think the first gen might not include it, but the upcoming generation of these glasses might have the same thing.
Most of these glasses are based on AR technology. So
Hmm.
AR stands for augmented reality.
Augmented reality, yes.
So give us an overview what AR is and what does it do exactly, and
So
compare it to VR.
I mean, in a very simple way. So VR is basically a world that you create digitally, and you go and you become part of that. You go inside, everything around you is digitally created, right? That's VR, virtual reality.
And it's
It,
used in basically a big goggle kind of thing,
exactly.
virtual
So you
reality.
wear a headpiece. Yeah, you wear a
Yeah.
headpiece, and you are immersed into that world. Whereas for augmented reality, what they're doing is they take those digital pieces that are being created in a computer program, and they bring it to your real world and real reality around you. So a very simple example that everybody can relate to: Snapchat filters or Instagram filters. Everybody loves to do those cat tongue and those mustaches and glasses that you wear out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That's all AR.
And that's great because first of all, a lot of glasses are coming in that area, the whole
Hmm.
AR technology.
Yep.
Microsoft came with it 4 to 5 years ago with HoloLens.
Hmm.
Okay, now they have HoloLens 2,
Hmm.
that was in 2019. Okay,
Hmm.
HoloLens basically creates a field view of environment, digital environment in front of you,
Hmm.
and now this is when I was talking about marketing. So they are marketed toward workers rather than customers or
Hmm.
your general population for AutoCAD purposes and all that.
Hmm.
So they are marketing that glasses entirely to that area.
Hmm.
Not only that, the glasses are, I don't know if it's glasses or not, but the HoloLens are priced at US $3,500.
Roughly, yes.
Yeah, so that's quite interesting. But we have a lot of innovation coming from different companies such as Qualcomm,
Hmm.
Apple, and the Samsung ad we just saw recently.
Yes, yes. What did you
So
think of that?
personally, you're asking me what I think.
I
I love
mean,
it, man.
you're a sucker for Samsung stuff, right? So that's
Yeah,
why I specifically asked you, what did you think of that?
I love Samsung because only it innovates very quickly, and it's
Hmm.
a very big company, so it has money for R&D and to do
Hmm.
all that. So Samsung Glasses Lite shows a flat screen in front of you, okay,
Okay.
which can be your media, which
Hmm.
watch YouTube, TV, or whatever,
Hmm.
or it can be even video conferencing, or it can be even flying a drone. But there's other thing also which is also by
Hmm.
Samsung AR glasses, which uses the whole AutoCAD if you want to construct something or place
The
something
modeling
in
you can
your,
do. Hmm.
exactly, place something in your house like a furniture and stuff. I think IKEA has embedded this kind of AR functions in their app.
Hmm.
Okay.
A number of different online shopping websites have done that, where
Yeah.
they let you see how this piece of furniture will look in your living room.
Even in
A
fashion,
couch.
you can
Exactly. Yep.
see, which is quite interesting because especially when I was talking about Microsoft and
Hmm.
HoloLens,
Hmm.
and back in the day when Xbox 360 was new,
Hmm.
and they came up with Kinect sensors that actually track your movement in the games and stuff.
Hmm.
All these Kinect sensors have evolved into that technology. Okay, for Microsoft at least. Coming back to Samsung AR.
Hmm.
Okay, so I'm interested in how it replaces phones rather than anything else because, and that's a
Yes,
claim I'm making on a personal level.
and I wanted to ask you about that because you keep saying that. Like whenever we talk about AR, you say that it's going to take over phone. Why do you think that?
The way I see it,
Hmm.
okay, so you have a phone, right? It has an interface and everything.
Hmm.
What AR glasses will basically do is that create that interface in front of
Right
your
in
eye.
front of you. Exactly. And
Exactly.
that's why I think
So
so.
you are using it without any physical device in
Mhm.
front of you. That's my point of view in terms of replacing phones.
Yeah, see that I completely agree with. I do think AR as a technology has a huge potential in the future because you want to get phone is a very convenient device, but eventually at a point it would not be as convenient. Like there would be an evolution in terms of
Yeah,
convenience that you need to have for a personal device. So I think in that AR would play a big role where you can wear something right behind your ear or even the glasses that you're wearing, but it would be much more
even the watch,
compact.
if it has a hologram kind of thing, that that was a scam a few years before, but it
Right,
is a possibility. You know what
right.
I mean? So with
Mhm.
AR, that's a possibility. That's the yeah. In that terms,
Mhm.
I think it can potentially.
Exactly. So yeah, my point is a wearable technology in combination with AR definitely has potential to eventually replace personal mobile phones. But my only problem with the current shape is I think it's still a bit too clunky. Obviously, it's very, very, very early in development stages. So the current forms are too clunky, but eventually I can agree with you that yes, some form of wearable devices when in combination with AR has the potential to completely change how we experience
Okay,
devices today.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Why do you say mobile phones, and what's the where is mobile phone common and mobile phone common? Is it a Canadian thing?
Yes, it is. It is a Canadian thing. So see, I grew up for the longest time saying mobile. Okay,
Yeah,
even now,
exactly.
like especially when I'm talking in Urdu, I still say mobile, right?
Yeah.
In fact, I said worse. I said mobile,
Yeah.
which is like a worse form of it. But whenever I'm talking in English, especially like I guess I picked up words from here, and mobile is one of them. Like so many times, I'm about to say mobile, and I correct myself because that's not the right pronunciation. It's actually not. It's
Yeah, so
mobile.
commonly it is said mobile
Yeah, it's a
there,
commonly
right?
used term, but it's not the right term. And I've been corrected on that before, so I guess I
No,
stay
is a
conscious of it
mobile
now.
phone correct term or not? I'm not even sure.
Mobile is the correct term.
It is.
Yeah,
Okay, that's interesting
and
because
it's also, if I'm not wrong, I might be completely missing it, but so Britishers call it mobile. Okay,
I always thought Britishers called it mobile.
no, but North Americans call it mobile. This is what I think it is. I'm not sure, but yes, if you're talking to me for a longer period of time, you would see me say both of the words
Yeah,
because mobile is like
fitted
in
in
my
your
head.
head.
Exactly, but mobile is what I'm trying to get to. That's it.
See, that's interesting. Okay, let's talk more about these phones. We have Huawei phone coming out,
Yes,
foldable
another
phone,
prototyping company that's coming up with more
a great
phones.
one at that. The phone itself looks great.
It does. It
Okay,
looks
it
really
looks
nice.
really pretty. It
Hmm.
has enough cameras, 5 to 6, if you're looking for that.
I did not pay
Uh,
attention to that. I was just too distracted with the folding capability of it.
yeah. And one of the things that I really like now, you have proper front screen. That was the thing that was
Hmm.
evolving with these foldable phones.
Exactly.
And now you have the screen that Samsung has with their folding phones, or you have a proper screen without the notch even at the front,
Exactly.
which is what is interesting with this phone.
Yeah. The intended design, which is what everybody was working towards.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you can obviously fold into tablet and use it as a tablet, as a
Hmm.
if you want to watch videos or work on your sketching stuff.
Hmm.
um See, one of the things is that Huawei is still Google-less. It does not have Google app, which means it can, because Android is a free source, so
Hmm.
it can build upon Google
Hmm.
Android, but it cannot deploy Google apps such as Play Store or
Hmm.
Gmail or
The
YouTube.
specific Google services.
Exactly. That's a problem for if the company wants to sell that product outside China. Within
Hmm.
China, they are doing great. Okay.
Hmm.
But outside China, most people are interested in Google apps because it's again Google versus Apple. The whole
Android versus
environment.
iOS, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, the Android versus iOS, also Google versus Apple, in terms of like if there are no apps in
Hmm.
Android, then it doesn't make sense to have Android.
Exactly.
That's what I'm like trying to say. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, do you think there will be? able to survive without these Google apps, considering how common they are. And you might have seen in Canada also, there would be only two main environments used with
Yes,
people.
for the most part. I mean, the biggest problem, at least in North American capacity for Huawei, is so I don't know how much you followed the North American news, but like a couple of years ago, there was a disagreement between US and Chinese government where they found that Huawei devices were doing certain things. Anyway,
Yeah,
long story short, it ended in a ban of Huawei devices across US, right?
yeah,
And a change of that change also reflected in Canada because we're so connected. So that is one of the biggest issues, obviously, there that if they do not have iOS, sorry, if they do not have Android, they are
they
obviously
have
limiting
Android. They do not have Google apps.
those services. That's what I'm saying. So if
Hmm.
they do not have a complete Android experience, that's what I meant.
Yeah,
If they do not have a complete Android experience, they're limiting themselves in terms of user base. Obviously, in China, as you said, they have a huge user base, and Chinese market alone is an insanely big market.
yeah.
So that's enough
That
for them
the
to
quote
survive.
was like, I remember this quote that I read. The quote was, never underestimate the power of China in terms of Chinese market
Exactly.
and Chinese companies. So
That
it's
market
quite
on its own is
powerful. Yeah.
huge, but for them
Yeah.
to expand internationally and establish themselves the way they were before the whole issue happened, yeah, it would be a bit more challenging to go without that.
Okay, so we talked about AR evolving into phone technologies. What do you think
Mhm.
foldable phones will be the future in the near future or not? Is that the next step in evolving the design of phones? Because you and I have lived through Nokia era. We know how phones can go into weird shapes if they
Yes,
want
we
to.
have lived through button Nokia era before smartphones, right? Before
Exactly.
cameras were there in the phone. I mean, I was very young, but I remember
Exactly.
the time when there were no cameras.
Yeah, so camera came, and then from then on, Nokia did not stop innovating. They went with the lipstick phone. The Engage
Yes.
was great. The N95 sliding up and down, one for music, one for keyboard.
Mhm.
They were just like good technologies to look around and choose the best one for you.
But see, that's the funny part, right? Because as soon as they introduced the first camera, they went insane. They were experimenting like crazy, coming up with really interesting stuff. As soon as they came out with their first touchscreen, they completely stopped innovating. And that drove them to a different kind of oblivion that they are in, they still are in now.
Yeah, so in
So,
terms of that, we have
mhm,
seen this square phones for ages now. The only innovation we
mhm,
saw was curved screens, and that were not that great.
mhm.
What do you think, foldable phones? Yes
I
or
mean,
no?
personally, it's not for me. Like, I'm much happy. I'm not really into big screens.
Mm-hmm.
For for the most part, I think 6.1 or 6.2 is a decent enough size in terms
Yeah.
of is a decent enough screen size for me.
Mm-hmm.
But for in general as a technology, I find it useful. I think it would be useful, especially for people who do a lot of multitasking. For example, if you want to take notes, a phone screen is not big enough, so it's this is the right middle between a tablet and a personal device.
Yeah.
Like a tablet was the perfect middle between a laptop and a book. This is another step to that. So I find it useful in that regard. And of course, a lot of people now use phone for gaming or for a lot for consuming a lot of content. So
Yeah.
in that regard, having a wider screen definitely helps you.
Exactly. And I think if you're taking notes while watching a video, or you're having a
Mhm.
meeting in one screen
Exactly.
and you can have a meeting notes in the other. So in that terms, I think it's quite
Oh, yeah.
useful to have that. So it's just
Right.
quite interesting to see where it will go. And for a fact, not for a fact, sorry, a rumor suggests that Apple is also working in that whole foldable phone area.
Mhm.
So it will be quite interesting to see what's their take on that, and
It
will it
would
have
be.
notch or not.
I don't I hope not. I mean that's all I'm gonna say. I really hope not because I know they're trying really hard to remove notch
Mm,
because it has been a headache for them for some time now.
yeah.
But yeah, I really hope they don't have one in a curved phone.
Okay, so most of the phones nowadays have the camera that allows them to take depth of field kind of photos, which means 3D photos.
Mhm.
Okay, so Even with Note 10 that I have, you can take a photo of a stuffed teddy bear around it using the AR technology that we talked about.
Yeah, it has
And
depth perception, so it can very
yeah,
accurately analyze how wide or how thick an object is.
exactly, the
Yeah,
3D. So in 2D, you expect something like this,
like
our
that,
logo.
exactly.
In 3D, you have the full face and perception of it.
Hmm.
So yeah, you can take a 3D bear and take a photo of it around it,
Hmm.
or let the camera scan, because it has automatic features to do that.
Hmm.
And then you can use a 3D printer to
Hmm.
print that anything you like for example the teddy bear we just took picture of.
Hmm.
But I'm hearing that you can even print food now.
Yes, you can print your burgers. You can
So
exact. You
how
can
how
literally
does
do that.
that work?
So, I mean, this is a technology that people have been working on for some time now.
Hmm.
But a couple of weeks ago, there's an Israeli company, Israeli startup that's called Elk Farms, which printed world's first steak. It's an actual beef. It's not made of plant. It's not plant-based at all. They have used cow cells, and they have printed a whole steak out of that.
So what exactly, like, do you put beef in the bloody printer and wait for it to
The-
come as a steak? What exactly is
I mean,
different here?
it's not as quick as one would hope it to be, but what they're doing is so they take cells, they take cells of cows,
Hmm.
and they basically embed that into the 3D printer, right? And then through the 3D printing capability that they have, they put cells together just small enough that they can grow. So when enough cells have been put together, they put it into a separate piece and they just let it grow on its own organically. Once it grows enough, they bring it back and they add another layer of fat to it, because if you look at a piece of steak, it always has different layers of like fat and then muscle and whole pieces, a whole bunch of stuff is going on there, right?
Yeah.
So every couple of days, once enough growth has happened on that chunk, they bring it back, they use the 3D printing again, they add a layer of fat, they add a layer of skin, and they keep going with that. Right now, it takes weeks or months to develop one steak, but eventually they're working towards a technology where you can have it in a matter of minutes.
So it's nothing like those vegan burgers, is it? It's
No, 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 no. This is
pure
completely,
beef.
yeah, this is pure beef. It's just done differently. Another interesting thing that I read about when I was reading about this thing is, so because they're doing everything through a 3D printer now, you can have very customized steaks. So, for example, if you're a person who likes spicy food, you
Yeah.
can custom make your steaks which would have natural spiciness to it. If you
But
like a tandoori
won't I
flavor
have
in
to
it,
buy a 3D printer for that?
I mean,
Or
right
do
now
I
you
have to
can do
go a
it.
store and tell them 3D
So
print a steak for me?
I mean, eventually, once the technology becomes common enough, you would be able to go to a shop and tell them you need a tandoori flavored steak, and they should be able to get your tandoori flavored steak in no time. But
That's
that's
interesting.
how amazing this technology is, that you can have customization in terms of the flavor of that meat that you're buying. So you can have beef in any flavor you want.
I think that's all for today. What do you think?
I think, I mean, I can keep going. I can go on and on about it, but I guess, yeah, let's just stop here.
Yep.
We'll pick up the conversation from here next week. We really hope you guys liked this episode. If you did, do let us know in the comments section. And if you're listening to it on our podcast, do let us know on our Instagram page at ngt.007. We'll see you next week. Till then, take care. Goodbye.
Goodbye.